Hey everybody, and welcome back to Miranda Pitrone Art. I am so thankful for your patience while I finished up this new video here, and I'm super excited to share it with you. I hope you all have been doing well. It has been a while since I've gotten to chat with all of you, but I know things are hectic, but I'm hoping this will be a great time for us to sit down and create this fun new mixed media heart mandala that I've made for you today. Alright, so I have made this heart out of the mold from the Happy Dotting Company heart mold using potter's plaster, and I just had to put one more coat of black on it because I tried a different black and it didn't cover well, so I'm going to stick with my Decoart because that's what always works for me. So here we have the array of colors I'll be using today, from light avocado to cobblestone to Williamsburg blue, and they'll all be listed in the description as well. These are acrylic rods, and I'll lift the size as well in the description. I think this one's a 1/4 and this one's a 1/2 inch. They're just acrylic rods. They come in a whole set, and they work pretty decent for the larger dots. This is an angled dotting stylus. I bend them myself. I have done videos on how to do that, but I sell these in the shop as well. You guys all know those are all in the description. The etcher today. And then I also have this Artistro paint marker. It's kind of like a great green. And then the silicone dot art tool for ovals. Looks like this. Mine's just a little dirty. Still works. I'm just not always the greatest at cleaning off my tools. We all have our things. Alright, so let's get started today with what we can make. It's going to be this awesome mixed media heart. I got the laser cut wood cutout actually at the Dollar Tree. They have packs of them. Super fun. And I just used E6000 at the end of painting it all to glue it on. So I put this up in the corner here because I just want to kind of space it out and trace around it. And then I'm going to move it so that I can do the mandala design on our heart. But afterwards, after we finish the mandala design here, I'll just glue the wood piece down at the end. And this way I don't get any paint on it. So I'm just going to take my etcher and I'm going to just kind of trace around the outside of it so that it can delineate the area that it is, and I won't paint in that area. Alright, so the first color is Tropical Blue, and I'm going to be using the large 3mm dot stylus. And now you can't really see it on the screen here, but I'm going inside where the petals of that wooden flower met. So that's where I'm starting. So if we had the wood piece still down, where each of the petals indents in between one another, that's where I'm starting with this tropical blue color. So I apologize in advance, but for some reason the side angle views and my Google phone, it's not working. Lost in technology here, so. Alright, so now to the cobblestone and that acrylic rod, the larger size. And in between each of these, I'm going to just space it to the center, so it'll probably be at the end of each of the petals. We're going to put a big dot of the cobblestone. I'm probably only going to be able to fit 3 in my design because it's going to be the asymmetrical side here of the heart where we're going to do most of our design and not really go down the other side. We'll finish off that side with something else. So while this is still wet, I'm just going to grab my smallest angled dotter, and I'm just going to pick up paint from the larger dot and bring it over here to kind of put the dots around with the same color cobblestone. And also I'm reloading it each time just to kind of keep the dots about the same size. It's not like walking the dots that people say, where you start at the top and you get that progressive size from large to small. When you let the paint run off the tool, this is actually reloading it each time so that you have the same size dot. And I'm not going to go all the way around because I'm just going to leave space, because I know from my tracing that at the bottom there, that's going to be where the wood petal from that laser cut design touches. And this too, I mean, it's kind of just a time saver by stealing it from these larger dots. You can still obviously go back and forth from your palette to your piece, but I'm just going to grab these here while they're still wet to save myself a little bit of time. And then we'll do the same thing on this last one here at the end. So if you're new to this, I usually these days have my videos up, but I've been trying to do a side angle view as well, so you can actually see each tool touching the surface of what I'm creating, but I had some definite technical difficulties this time, and I apologize, but this will just be a top view only. There we go. And I'm going to switch it now to the same size tool but white paint, just totally white. And this is what people are calling walking the dots. So you start at the top and you have that larger dot because you initially put that down with the paint loaded completely on your tool, and then as you go around with the dots, they're going to get progressively smaller because the paint's running off the tool. So you don't have to try to finagle, dip dot, go back, make it smaller. You just let the paint run out off the tool and they will get smaller. And we'll do that around each of these large 3 dots as well. So I hope you guys are doing well. I've missed you so much. I know it's far and few between, probably once a month I'm getting videos out these days, but at least they're coming. I have got a garden and chickens and all this other stuff going on, so I've kind of spread myself a little farther out and not having as much time to paint, which I really do miss, but it still is a great relaxation time. So I hope you guys are getting more time to do it. And I want to just also welcome everybody that's new to dotting. There's so many people getting involved with this still. I think that I've been doing the dotting, I mean, since I was a kid with pointillism, but the dot art probably now since 2011, really online with it, with the YouTube channel and selling on Etsy and my own site. But it's so awesome to see how many people are getting into this. Alright, so now I'm going to grab Cocao, and these paints are all from the Decoart Americana lines. And we'll go with, this whole tone is going to be like earthy colors, earth tones. So I'm going to go with the smaller of the acrylic rods. Actually, I'm going to go with this one because it's in between. That other one was a little bit smaller. So this one's about 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to hyper load it, which just put a little too much on because I want it a little bit bigger than the actual tool gives me. Because I want to do one more dot in the center of this, because of course I'm gonna want to incorporate metallics. Those of you who know me, I kind of just love the metallics and I have to restrain myself from using them all the time, but hopefully just a little touch here and there will help spruce this little guy up later. That's one of the things too, if you're new, just be patient with yourself. It doesn't have to be perfect. Each round we do, we're doing the top dots. You're going to have to wait for it to dry, so work on another area or even another piece. So this is the Slate Blue, and it's the 2mm size blue dot art stylus. It's just the second one down from the green. And we're just going to go on either side here of that larger tropical blue dot we put down firstly. And I don't have a pattern here, there's no rhyme or reason. You don't have to stencil everything out. Just kind of enjoy the flow of taking the time to paint and come up with new creations, new ideas, new directions. Picking a paint palette each time, you're going to end up in a different direction anyway. And in each of my videos, I noticed YouTube actually is starting to diminish the descriptions, so I'm going to have to go back and fix some of the descriptions. But here's the oval dotter, oval silicone dot art tool. And we're going to grab the Williamsburg blue. So it's still kind of a grayish blue. It's just a little bit lighter. And in between those two dots, we're going to put a big old oval here. And you hold this kind of like a pencil, so it's on an angle. And then it gives you this nice clean cut oval with your paint. And I'm just going to do 2 of these because I'm going to stay within the confines of my heart. I'm not going to do it on the outside. And now let's grab our etcher tool and some white, and we'll go around the outside of these, walking the dots around until they get smaller at the bottom. I started to say that YouTube's descriptions are disappearing, so I had to fix them, but the point of that is that I have all the listings for my color palettes on Pinterest so you can get inspirational ideas. I have my website listed. I'm actually getting away from Etsy now. They're just charging a ton of fees. They're not paying people their money, so it's just having a lot of issues. So I'm just using my website, I think, from here on out, other than a few digital patterns listed on there. So you'll see them on YouTube and on my website, and then on Facebook. But all the links for all the products I use in these videos will be in the description down below as well, so you can find them and try them out for yourself. Alright, it's metallics time. I'm going to grab my large green dotting tool, the 3mm, and we're going to dip it in the rich espresso, and then we can top dot our cocoa that we put down in the center of these. Now this night sky is actually a multi-surface one, so you'll see it seals itself later on. It's got a little bit of a shine at the top of it, so these are great if you're using them on mugs and things that you don't want to put some kind of sealer on, and they self-seal, or you can bake them in the oven and they'll seal that way as well. So when it dries, you'll see it's a little bit shinier. So I think I am going to use this night sky all the way around to kind of bring that color over to the sides here too. And that'll help us to kind of finish off this side as well. Because it's not going to be the same kind of design. It's not going to fit that mandala. And you could try to continue the pattern down the side if that's what you wanted to. Obviously do it how you want, but I'm just going to finish this off a little differently here and just keep the mandala on the right side of the heart. I'm just going to push that because this is where the heart meets, so there's a little crack there, which I don't think you can see super well on the screen, but I just pushed the paint into a circle. So now I'm using eucalyptus. And it's a lighter green, and this is the acrylic rod again. And I'm going to put those above my ovals on either side. So you're just expanding the mandala as you go. You just add different elements to it. And it's just a perpendicular, tap it, actually touch it to the surface. So no matter, you just keep changing up the design. You can add triangles, squares, whatever shapes you use in the mandala. You can do squiggly lines. I mean, it's pretty much unlimited options. And I just, looking on the video, this space here, I just felt like I needed to fill it in. So I'm going to take my etcher and just grab that night sky paint and continue with smaller dots down in between each of these here. So as you go, sometimes you walk away, come back to look at it. You can add things. Looking on my screen, I see different things. Sometimes you can take a picture of it and look at and see what changes you might want to make, because it's kind of like a different point of view, but also just walking away from it sometimes. I'm just going to grab the eucalyptus and put 2 little dots down either side here. So now I'm just kind of debating if I want to put a little more of the metallics into this, so it doesn't look like I randomly just put middle center top dots. So I think I am going to carry it out here to the top with just kind of a little crown at the top here, 3 dots, 1 large one in the middle with the 2mm stylus, and then a little one on either side. And this is still the rich espresso, the one we used in the middle of the top dots. And this will kind of show you too, like carrying out colors you have from the center to the outside. That wooden piece that's going to go on here is a similar shade of brown to this metallic, so that'll help tie it in so that you have that wood color, then the espresso color tying in together. Alright, so foliage green. And I want to continue the pattern in here, so I'm maybe going to go with a larger dot. Yeah, let's use the 3mm. And these earth tones too, this gives you kind of like that foliage color, obviously foliage green, but it gives you the, you know, kind of the leaf and grass and green color that we have in nature. Okay, I'm going to go back to that night sky now. And around our eucalyptus dots. So you can see from the shine on my screen, mine are still actually wet. So I just want to be cautious with that so that we're not bleeding into the eucalyptus dots. So I'm going to grab the etcher here since it's a little more of a point. And then I don't have to wait really for the eucalyptus dot to dry all the way, because I'm the tiny etcher and staying just far enough out of the way that the colors won't bleed into each other that way. But that's something you'll learn as you go too. Just keep trying. If they bleed into one another, then you just wait until that dot dries and then work on a different section on your piece, or keep practicing, or just work on something else until it's dry, and that'll stop them from bleeding into one another, and you can still get the dots close to one another. I notice in my classes that's one of the most challenging things, is people have trouble with just being patient for each round to dry, so you just want to make it. But having patience and taking the time throughout all this actually is really one of the things I love most about the creation process, is just being able to peacefully take time to do something. We're so fast these days, fast. Everything has to be done fast. You know, social media, everything's so quick. Electronics, so quick. Everything's at your fingertips. Just, it's nice to just take a step back and relax. For me, anyway. And for some of you. I know some of you maybe just want to fast forward through. Go for it. That's awesome. You can still create, and then you learn what you're doing and you go for it on your own. We just all have our own different ways of doing it. So I did another ring there of the Williamsburg lighter blue, and now I'm going to finish off with a white on the outside. I feel like the white is kind of like that dainty finishing off piece, or finishing off color for a piece. Almost like lace or doilies. I don't know what it is about it, just it's more refined for me. It just kind of gives it that little tiny pop. And it's kind of like, okay, this area is finished. Especially on the black, I think it also is such a high contrast. And I'm also going to carry the white over here to kind of lighten up our tropical blue dots that we did. And just put a top dot of white towards the bottom of each of these circles. You could put it in the middle or at the bottom, or not do it, but this is just what I'm choosing to do, is put it near the bottom of each of the tropical blue dots. Help brighten it up a little, especially once we put the wood down, because the wood is darker. It'll give you that little pop of white in between. So I'm looking up out here, and I need to kind of bulk out the design just a little bit more. So I think I'm gonna go I'm gonna grab, yeah, the foliage here. I grabbed the foliage green, and these are dry, so I'm gonna just do some top dots with the foliage green, and that way it doesn't look like I just kind of plopped some green in the outer ring. So we're actually carrying the color in towards the center too. That way too, you're kind of, you don't have to get such an expansive palette. You're using the colors that you've already used in other places to kind of carry them throughout the piece that you're doing. Alright, now I'm going to grab the Cocao here and just kind of bulk up our little crowns, I think I call them, at the top here. So I'm going to put 3 dots over the rich espresso with the Cocao. And this is a smaller angle dotting stylus, so I'm just gonna add a little more paint probably and make them a little bigger. So there, I'm just checking in the space here. And for some reason it cut out on me, so I did 3 little white dots above the darker blue on the outer edge there. And then I'm just testing, putting the wood piece down to kind of see how much more space I got filled in there and tuck it in. And that kind of, I need that visual. Some people aren't like that. They don't need to see it to just understand where it's going, but I need to have that visual to kind of complete the piece in my mind. So I'm actually going to grab that green one more time and just kind of fill in the spaces here to make it a little more cohesive. Put 1 dot. We'll just put 1 dot around either of these oval elements here. And that way you're just bringing the green through just a little bit more. Not overwhelming the piece, but that it gives you just a little more separate. And then I feel like I just need a darker green to kind of help with this, so I want to top dot the eucalyptus and the ovals, I think, with the avocado, just to kind of bring a darker shade of the green into it. And the eucalyptus is still wet, but I am going to go for this anyway and just chance it here. So I really had to load my stylus, see there, to let it drip into the middle of that eucalyptus dot, which is still wet. So sometimes it can kind of pull it off center. So you'll see if you try it, try it off to the side. And at the oval, I think I'm going to put it at the base of the oval as opposed to the center of oval. I didn't want it to look like an eyeball or something, so I just want to put it at the base here to kind of carry that shade of green in as well. I feel like this brown, this avocado brown has a little bit of, green has a little bit of brown in it, so. So this is the Artistro marker, and it's kind of almost a peridot color, like Decoart has a peridot metallic that's just gorgeous. So I really like this color, but I want to do kind of some scroll work along here to kind of fill in the edge and just kind of give us that viney floral look. And you can see, like, looking on the screen or in a picture, again, like I said, stepping away from your piece for a little bit lets you see kind of where you'll want to fill in a little more of the space. Some people ask, like, how do you know when to stop filling it in? Well, sometimes it's just when you get to the edge. But other times I think it's just taking a step back, take a step away, take a break. Or even ask the groups. There's tons of Facebook groups, dot art groups, mandala groups. They can get other people's opinions if you need, and ask, work it out with our community. So there's so many sweet and helpful people who are doing this now. And it's fun to kind of bounce ideas off one another. You know, I'm talking at you through the video, but I feel like I'm painting with you guys. I feel like you're here, you're listening. And I love interacting on social media, so please feel free to stop and say hi. I try to get back to all the questions that are asked. If you use the contact form on my web page, that's a little easier for me because it goes directly to my email. And these days I'm not on Facebook as much, and Instagram, y'all know what happened with that, so. So I'm looking at these viney scrolls here, and I'm just thinking, like, they just need a little something extra. So maybe some dots or a little extra line. I'm trying, just kind of debating in my mind what I want to add. So I think I'm just going to do a couple random dots here and there to just kind of give it that kind of sporadic, dainty, maybe some buds on the vine type idea. Just a sprinkle here and there. So a lot of it is pretty whimsical, and I encourage you guys to it's so helpful to just kind of take your time with things and explore. And then that is inspirational for yourself. You come up with so many different ways of doing things. So there's our little heart for today. I'm pretty excited about how this came out. I was reticent at first to do a mixed media piece, but I'm excited about these things. I have plenty more, and I'm gonna test them out. So I hope yours came out as well as you liked. I really enjoyed painting and creating this all with you, and I am so looking forward to being back with you again and hearing what you think about this in the comments. Please feel free to stop in and say just a hi, how are you, where you're from, and I hope you enjoy your pieces and happy painting. I look forward to talking with you all again.